The world of Hollywood and music can create many things, including massive stars that transcend their roles and make all sorts of wonderful things happen. However, they can also create a pressure upon those stars to be better, look better, and be perfect outside as well as in, which obviously is not something that is truly possible, which leads to disastrous things happening. Allow us to give you some examples of that. Number 4. Reed Ewing. You might not think that men in Hollywood would consider plastic surgery to fix themselves and help ensure roles, but in truth, it happens more than you think. Such was the case with former Modern Family star Reed Ewing. He went under the plastic surgery knife back in 2008 because he felt he didn't look Hollywood enough. But the choice led to a lot of pain and agony across many levels. "I woke up screaming my head off from pain, with tears streaming down my face," he wrote. "The doctor kept telling me to calm down, but I couldn't. I couldn't do anything but scream," while he and his staff tried seemingly to hold back their laughter, he wrote. You'd think that this would dissuade him from continuing on, but he kept going even while he was doing the show. "Most of the time I was on camera, or when I'd had the numerous implants removed and was experimenting with less noticeable changes to my face, like injectable fillers and fat transfers," Ewing said. Eventually, he did decide to stop, and thank goodness. He also took his experience and is trying to warn other young stars, and even older ones, to never do that kind of extensive surgery unless it's vital. It often helps people who actually need it for serious cases. But it's a horrible hobby, and it will eat away at you until you have lost all self-esteem and joy, he said. "I wish I could go back and undo all the surgeries. Now I could see that I was fine to begin with, and didn't need the surgeries after all." Number 3. Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim at one time was the most recognizable female star from the 90s. She had a great voice and a stunning figure that led to a very famous poster being made and put up on walls all over America. Sadly, that wasn't enough for her, so she decided that the only way to solve her problems was to do plastic surgery. She didn't just have plastic surgery done. She actually started to bleach her skin to look more white. All in all, she had breast implants, nose jobs, cheek implants, and lip injections. And as mentioned, the bleaching of her skin. If you look at her now and look at her then, you'd be convinced it was two different people overall. And this didn't help her career either, because these mistakes and others led to her going to jail, and even though she got out, she was basically blacklisted in the rap world. She tried to recover, but it's just not the same, and she's definitely not the woman she was before. Number 2. Cardi B. Sticking with female musicians for a second, let's talk about Cardi B. And yes, we totally acknowledge that her career isn't over yet by a long shot. She even just had a recent #1 hit with Megan Thee Stallion. However, because of plastic surgery, that almost went another direction entirely, and it's her fault. You see, a couple of years back, Cardi B wasn't interested in plastic surgery in any way, with the sole exception of her teeth. She used one of her first major paychecks to go and get a complete dental rework so that she would have a beautiful smile. Which, if we're being honest here, is completely fair. Then, she and her husband Offset went and had a child, which for the record was not a part of their plans at the time. They had the child and named her Culture. And Cardi B was happy. She even used her pregnancy in certain music videos, like I Like It Like That. However, after Culture was born, she got very self-conscious about her looks, even with Offset telling her she was beautiful. Cardi B didn't believe him, so she went to go and get plastic surgery on her stomach, chest, legs, and more so she could get back into perfect shape. If you're waiting for the shoe to drop, here it comes. Because while Cardi B did indeed spend the time to go and get the surgeries, she didn't spend the time to go and heal after those surgeries. She was so focused on getting back on stage and making money that she performed way too early, and in one case, almost lost all the work that had been done to her body. She took a picture of her massively swollen feet and posted it online to show what she had been going through. A huge lesson that if you can't take the time to do things right, it could end you. And to be clear, this could have hurt Cardi long term, but she finally wised up and rested. Though to be honest, we wouldn't be surprised if she did this again. Number 1. Michael Jackson. Yes, we acknowledge that in the large scale, Michael Jackson's career did not end immediately after he got plastic surgery on himself. But rather, it did cause a slow burn effect, of course, that is still being talked about and revealed to this day. Because when he was born and raised, Michael Jackson was a proud African-American child. When he started to go solo, he had an accident that led him to getting plastic surgery and even bleaching his skin so he could be more white. And while there was a balance in terms of skin color at one time, he eventually went full Caucasian, and he was never the same afterward. In fact, you could argue that these surgeries not only altered his body, but his mind, to the extent that he lied about his surgeries, and that included lying in court about it. And though he was still performing on stage like a boss and cranking out hits, behind the scenes was a different story. He started acting more and more strangely, having various incidents happening with his family, his kids, and more. Plus, he would eventually die via medicine that he OD'd on, and that wouldn't have happened if he wasn't mentally unstable. To add to that, we know that he was a child predator of sorts, and that certainly didn't happen in his early years, but after his transformation. All of this is changing how many view Michael Jackson. True, he's the king of pop and a legend in the music industry, but he was also a broken man who couldn't accept his looks and had serious mental problems that would eventually lead to his untimely death. So there you have it, everyone, a look at 4 celebrities across the music world and Hollywood who went and got plastic surgery and found their careers drastically altered. Do you agree that these celebs would have been better without the surgery in the first place? Which ones do you think had a better life without it? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.